In 1999, this incident took place in Poland. There isn't much information available for this terrifying tale. Only photos of the crime scene remain. Neither the perpetrator nor the victim are visible. Grab your cup of tea or a drink to enjoy the story. I'm asking you to reach 10k likes on this video. Then let's get into our video. Vladimir W., a 26-year-old guy who has lived most of his life in the Caucasus with his mother and sister, is the person in question. After his parents' divorce and subsequent upbringing in poverty, Vladimir initially studied medicine at a Polish university before switching to psychology. He left college after 3 years of studying psychology. While his mother and sister stayed in the Caucasus, Vladimir, who was unemployed and in need of financial stability, moved in with his father and grandfather in a village close to Krakow. It's unknown why he chose to live elsewhere rather than with his mother, but money issues might have been a factor. Vladimir had a bitter relationship with his father that began when his father had an affair with a friend's much younger daughter and caused his parents to split up. Vladimir's father was threatened by his mother's family once they learned of his treason, which caused him to leave for Poland. While his mother and sister stayed in the Caucasus, Vladimir, who was unemployed and in need of financial stability, moved in with his father and grandfather in a village close to Krakow. It's unknown why he chose to live elsewhere rather than with his mother, but money issues might have been a factor. Vladimir had a bitter relationship with his father that began when his father had an affair with a friend's much younger daughter and caused his parents to split up. Vladimir's father was threatened by his mother's family once they learned of his treason, which caused him to leave for Poland. Vladimir hated his father and he hated him more and more every day they shared a home. He thought his father's life and attitude were immoral, which prompted him to devise a nefarious scheme. Vladimir attempted to stun his father in May 1999 after luring him into the cellar. When it didn't work, he turned to killing his father by repeatedly stabbing him with a sharpened screwdriver. Vladimir then used a surgical scalpel and a shovel to decapitate his father after hanging his body upside down in the cellar. He cut the back of the legs and separated the skull, then drained his father's blood into a pail. The following day, Vladimir took the severed head and neck to his bedroom and spent the entire night painstakingly peeling the skin from the muscles and skull. Vladimir discarded the head's remaining parts in the yard after successfully removing the skin. He built himself a mask out of his father's flesh and put it over his own shaved head. He put on his father's clothes, hat, and glasses to complete the disguise. Then Vladimir went outside and sat on a bench before coming back inside later, seemingly unobserved. His grandfather, who is blind, arrived home during this time. Vladimir spoke to his grandfather in a different voice while still donning the mask and his father's clothes. The grandpa thought he was talking to his son because of his blurry vision and Vladimir's altered voice, utterly oblivious that his grandson was standing there with his son's face on. They even had breakfast together and talked, but as they did so, the grandfather started to feel uneasy. He had certain doubts, but he kept them to himself. The grandpa started looking around the house after breakfast and ultimately found his severed son's body in the cellar. He was so horrified that he ran to the next-door residence and called the police. Vladimir gathered several items, including some of his father's clothes, and fled after realizing that his grandfather had accidentally found the crime site. He didn't venture far, though, and quickly found a hiding spot from which he could watch the progress of the murder inquiry into his father. Investigators discovered the father's body shackled by the legs and arranged in the shape of an inverted cross with his arms outstretched. They found the human skin mask, a sharpened screwdriver, and a shovel inside Vladimir's room. A surgical scalpel, prosthetic plastic, and pieces of the scalp were also discovered by the investigators along with the needle and thread used to stitch the skin. After the police arrived, Vladimir quickly came out of his hiding place next to a bus stop bench and was taken into custody. Vladimir instantly confessed to the crime after being taken into custody. He revealed his deep-seated anger for his father, who had abandoned him, his sister, and his mother, when asked why he had committed such a horrible thing. Vladimir believed that his father's unethical actions made killing him a justified act. He admitted that he had carefully prepared the tools for the murder and mutilation in the cellar. Vladimir stated that the movie, 7, in which the killer targets people who embody the 7 deadly sins, served as motivation for the murder in part. As part of a game to test how long he could keep up the ruse, Vladimir also acknowledged donning his father's disguise while chatting to his grandfather. He explained that, while reflecting on the crime, hanging his father's body upside down so that it resembled an inverted crucifix represented the shame his father deserved. He also removed his father's face because he thought that a person's actual character is shown by their ideals rather than by their outward appearance. Vladimir stated that because the head was responsible for everything, the beheading served as a metaphor for retribution. Strangely, a similar incident involving a woman named Katarzyna who was killed and skinned had place in Poland the year before. Vladimir was initially thought to be responsible for the crime as well, but it was later discovered that someone else was the offender. Without a doubt, this occurrence ranks among the most horrific ones. From his father's murder to the invention of a skin mask to the terrifying breakfast talk with his unaware grandfather, the entire series of events is horrifying. Although it seems like something from a horror film, it actually did occur. If you decide to look into this case further, please proceed with caution as there are pictures of the crime scene, including the victim's skin mask. These pictures rank among the most horrifying things I've ever seen. Vladimir reportedly had borderline schizoid personality disorder, which had a substantial impact on his capacity to understand the seriousness of his acts and make wise decisions. I believe Vladimir was sentenced to 25 years in prison, but it seems very doubtful that he will ever be freed. I sincerely hope you enjoy the video and share it with your friends. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Until the next video, keep safe.